Hey guys, today I shall take you on a journey through the forest, or actually in our case, our backyard. We are going to be harvesting free food that we did not grow. We have not cultivated in any way, shape, or form, and has actually been quite a bit of a nuisance for us. And yes, I am talking about the black walnut. The black walnut is chock full of proteins, minerals, and vitamins, and most of us really just take it for granted and actually think of it like it's a nuisance. I mean, they're all over our yard. When you go to mow, you have to clean them up first. And I know I had said last winter that I don't think of them as a viable food source, but I need to reconsider that. With the state of the world that we live in today, you never know what's going to happen with the food system, and it's nice to learn how to process foods like this that are in abundance and that are actually really good survival foods if you think about it. There's so much nutrition, and one of the nuts that is inside of this hull. Today we are harvesting and processing black walnuts. I mean, I'm just done trying to fight having them in the yard and the juggalo in them, hurting the gardens. I might as well work with the black walnut and try to utilize it for all of its nutrition. So this year we are going to start harvesting and processing our own black walnuts because we have so many anyway. We might as well. Woo! Gonna make it go farther. Nice! And that is what we do with the walnuts that we don't want to harvest for ourselves. So he's gonna get back to picking up walnuts, and I'm gonna start processing some. All right, so other than using the paint paddle like you see a lot of people do, you can take these green ones. They're pretty much green. They're not too bad. And cut them. I'm cutting around the nut like that. Turn and take the nut out. Now I give this to my chickens because there's usually some little maggots and stuff in there. They like to eat them, and the juggalo in these will actually help them with parasites and stuff, not having parasites. So it's actually good for them. Then we're gonna have to clean all that extra yuck off of there. So, all right, let me show you that again. See that? So the husk and my husk bucket. The nut. It's hard to see amongst all that other debris. It's harder to get them off when they're really green like that. And throw that in a good bucket. So husk bucket, nut bucket. One other way, other than using the knife to cut this open, well, one way that I don't suggest is drive over them with your car with your tires. I don't want to do that because I don't want them to come out, hit a window, hit somebody, hurt anybody. We're not going that route. And then you have your paint paddle option. And then you can also just step on them. Roll them around, put my other glove on, and they come right out. I find that works really good with the ones that are already starting to kind of break down a little. They're really ripe ones. Takes us a little bit more work. I mean, if I had my boots on, it'd probably be a lot easier. I'm also saving some of these husks, the ones that haven't started to rot at all. Like I'm going to save this one and cut this one up here in a little bit, and I'm actually going to dehydrate some of this husk. It actually makes really good medicine. As soon as I start to cut them off, they start browning really bad in the center. So the ones that I want to use for that, I'm going to wait until the very end. I like the way they smell. Oh, it's almost piney. I can't explain it. I love it. Some people don't. I enjoy it. Back here, and the area of the chicken coop. Do you see all those black walnuts? They're all over back here because the grandma, this is what I call my grandma walnut tree. She's huge and she extends over the chicken coop, which is great in the summer because it offers shade, but it self prunes, so it drops its limbs all over. But so I've got a lot of work ahead of me, so I'm gonna get to it. Look, I'm gonna harvest up some of these really good green ones, and we're gonna shave some of that off and use that for medicinal purposes at home. But you see all of the husk, it's been rainy and wet, everything's just kind of falling apart out here, which is actually kind of nice. Just falls right off, and I'm gonna throw them in my bucket. I also like to step on them like this, move it around really good. Now, because it's rainy, it's really muddy out, I'm getting the husk off, but then I'm getting mud on it. So, trying to keep one hand fairly clean if I need it. All right, so most of what I read and watch says you want the green ones, or at least mostly green black walnuts to process, have a better flavor, and the nut inside won't be rotted at all. So we're gonna do 2 different batches. We are gonna take ones that are kind of decayed down, that and I think a lot of that has to do with the rain, the massive amounts of moisture really making everything decay a lot faster. And then we're gonna do a batch of what is mostly very green ones, and we're gonna process and go through the whole drying process and then test them out. Listen, I'm not a professional at this. This is our first year harvesting these walnuts this way. I kind of thought that, well, I guess they're really mushy the way they are because of all the rain. I thought it would be a lot harder to get the husk off, but because they're all brown and mushy, it's really super easy. Okay, in between the rains a couple days ago, because it had rained for weeks straight, I tried processing some of these, and I've gotten a lot of the husk off of these ones. You can see. I'm going to try to get some more of that off, and then we'll try to dry them. And then I have more. All right, I got my hose attachment that, the only one I have that gets like a really good, hard, strong stream off of it. If you have a pressure washer, you could really blast all of this off of here. I'm sorry, there's like so many bugs because it's so moist out still. And unless you want your hands discolored, wear gloves. All right, this bucket of them has a lot of rinds on them. The husk, I mean. See that? Just trying to give them a good hose. All right, so I'm going to take this stick and I'm going to stir these walnuts up and try to agitate and get all that rest of that husk off of them. Okay. See how black that is? I'm going to go dump this further away from the house. Okay, so far I have this, and this is the amount that was collected during the rains. I'm gonna do a final rinse off. Coming at the bottom, still really dark. It's getting lighter. All right, so I'm going to cover this with some of the, I think we have 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch mesh. I'm going to cover the top of this so that the squirrels can't get them. And we're going to go on to our green walnuts. Okay, so I have that many nuts. I'm going to probably fill one of these little black baskets. That much husk. Quite a bit more husk than nuts, but that's okay. So, start spraying them down. All right, right away I got a floater here. All right, so let's do a dump and then we'll do it again. We're gonna do it again. Doesn't still look like they got a lot of stuff on them. If I had some more high pressure in my hose, I think we'd be doing better. I did much prefer working with the ones that were already rotted down because the husks just came off like nothing. These ones, you get a lot of husks still sticking. Oh, gross. Ugh. All right. This time, I'm going to take and put them through a basket. And start hosing them again. All right, so this is what I have. I don't like that these have a lot of the strands still left, but I honestly can't even get them off. I'm scraping them. All right, so these green ones didn't actually come as clean as the ones that were already kind of decaying. I'm gonna try to give them one more rinse. And we're gonna call that good. I'm gonna cover this one too, just like the other ones. I'm gonna come back and check on them in a couple days and decide if I'm gonna harvest any more of these. So, all right, let me go get some covers on this. Now, any information that I give you in this video that is medical or medicinal, take with a grain of salt. I am no professional, no medical professional of any kind, and my research has come from what most of your research has probably come from, the internet. And well, we know not everything is true on the internet, but I'd like to think that at least some of it is, especially when it comes to the herbs and plants and the good that they will do for us. All right, we like to give the husks to the chickens because they've got all those little maggoty worms in there. They eat them. You see Jeffy's got bumblefoot. I gotta re-bandage her. We do it every day. Been treating for that. We'll do a whole video on that. Not only do the chickens benefit from the walnut husk because of the little like maggots and bugs in it, the juglone that's in the husk of the walnuts here, and it's also, the juglone is also in the roots, the bark, the leaves of everything. It is a anti-parasitic, a antiviral. I mean, I'll put it on the screen what the good uses are of the juglone and how, in my mind, I convert that into how it's good for the chickens. All right, so I have a chunk of 1/4 inch mesh, welded wire mesh. These are the ones that we had collected that were starting to decay a little bit, and they actually kind of soaked. I dumped the water out, but they stayed pretty decently wet overnight, and I think that helped to get a lot of that black, the husk off of them. And these are the ones, I processed them the same way, but they didn't sit overnight in water. I'm gonna kind of test and see what happens with that. And then tomorrow, I'm gonna see if I can get any more of that off, or maybe even just soak those as well. But I'm gonna put this over top, and I think I'm gonna take a zip tie. Some zip ties that'll hold that down just in case. And they're kind of draining off because the sidewalk isn't level. All right, now as for dehydrating some of this, now some people just cut it up and put it into their into vodka. And the way I want to use this, I don't think vodka would be that great. I want to be able to put it on the skin, and I like say if you have any like foot fungals or anything like that, any skin fungal issues, I think this would be really good for that. I'm gonna actually rinse this off really quick. Okay, good enough. So I'm gonna take and literally cut like that. See, this one doesn't have any of the little maggots in it, so it's still pretty firm. This one's nice and firm still. I'm gonna take this and they start changing color, like discoloring right away. So I'm gonna go take and put these, see, I don't want any of these dark spots. Cutting that out. I'll cut that dark spot out of that one. All right. I'm gonna go take this and put these in the dehydrator. We don't need a whole lot. We just need some. And we're gonna dehydrate this down, and then I'm gonna crumble it, and then later on I'm gonna end up actually putting it into an olive oil and then letting the dehydrated husk crumbled, or like at least chunked up little, in olive oil to soak. Okay, so we have these nuts in baskets drying. I'm gonna let them dry outside as long as it doesn't rain for a few days in the sun, and then I'm going to take them inside and let them to continue to dry for quite a few weeks. Probably going to be a minimum of a month up to 2 months, and then we're gonna report back to you guys, and we're gonna crack some of these open on video so that you can see the difference of harvesting them when they're kind of mucky and black versus harvesting them when they're green, which it was much easier to harvest them when they're all black because the hulls came off. So I'm hoping that that is a viable way of doing this process. So for years in the future, we will know exactly when we want to harvest them and how we're going to go about doing it. I hope this video was at the very least entertaining, but hopefully educational and helpful. And if you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing and hit that like button, and share this with anybody else that you know that thinks that the black walnut is nothing but a nuisance. All right guys, have a good one.